So the big question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us, who don't have thousands of pounds sitting in the bank, or a wealthy business partner or parents to bankroll us, how do we actually get going properly and survive long enough in business to build the momentum and create the regular recurring income that we really need to be able to invest in ourselves at a higher level and learn how to thrive and how to create the life we really want for ourselves and our families? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name's Emma Hague, and welcome to Entrepreneurial Survival Secrets. Hi, it's Emma, welcoming you back to another Entrepreneurial Survival Secrets episode. I hope you're all well. Thought I would speak to you today a bit about a topic that's definitely affected me this week. I'm sure there are many of you around the country, around the UK definitely, who have been affected by this week, and that is school holidays. It's Easter break at the moment, and I know that working or trying to work around a family is a huge problem for a lot of women that I speak to. And it's not just kids, in my case, I've got two little girls. I've also got two grown-up stepsons. I've got Lulu Labradoodle, who is also my furry child. But I also know, I've got a lot of ladies in my community who have other people they have to look after, not just their own kids. Some people are caring for relatives who are ill or who are elderly, and we're talking about dependence, right? We've got people who are dependent on us to look after them, to care for them, to be there for them, and everything that goes with that, when what you really want to be doing is focusing your time on building your business. And it's such a big deal, and I get a lot of people that sort of say, it's the same for men, and you shouldn't talk about mums having this issue as if it doesn't involve men. And I'm not saying that. I know that there are a lot of men who are nowadays who are absolutely involved in the raising of their children, and I'm really lucky that I have a husband who he does the vast majority actually of the housework and cleaning and ironing and the laundry and things like that. I do all the things. I do the food shopping, and I sort all the finances out, and I'm the kind of DIY bod in our house, strangely, kind of a bit of role reversal, I suppose. But in my experience, there's just an added element to being a mum. I had both of my girls were, and still are to some extent, quite clingy insofar as they want me, right? If they're ill, they want me. If something's gone wrong, they want me. If they want somebody to talk to, they want me. And I don't have a problem with that at all. I would rather that than anything else. And I suppose it's the same for boys. My stepson's always wanted the dad. For certain things, for certain aspects of the life. So maybe if you've got boys, I don't have my own boys, I've just got my stepsons, if you like, which they are my own, but know what I mean. Maybe it's a little bit different for you if you've got boys. I suspect not. I think we all sort of need our mum from time to time. So I think there is this added sort of feeling of responsibility, duty, whatever it is that we want to call it, when you're a mum. And that's really difficult sometimes, but I think also a lot of women take that further than it needs to be taken. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way or in a way to sort of make anybody feel like I'm having a go at them or anything, but I think, I know from experience that I speak to a lot of women who are quite defensive about their role as a mother and are quite have this, or at least put across this attitude of being, nope, children come first. I will not do that. I will not arrange to work when I should be with my children. I will not arrange to, if my children need me, they come first, and if they need running somewhere in the car, then I'm afraid, that's it. Everything else has to be cancelled. And so some people kind of go to the extreme, and it's really hard to strike a happy medium. I know it is, but the hard reality, right, the hard facts of the case are, if you want to build a successful business, in fact, if you want to build a business that's just going to survive, right, because that's what we're talking about, entrepreneurial survival secrets, right, if you want to build a business that's going to even survive, never mind thrive, you have got to give it priority. And what I mean by that is equal priority. You've got to give it equal priority to your kids, or to your dependent other, whoever the other person or people are that you're taking care of. If you want to build a business that's going to last and that's going to give you the future that you want, you are going to have to give it equal priority. And that brings up a lot of stuff for a lot of people. I don't really know why it doesn't for me. I think maybe because my mum and dad always had their own business and they always worked long hours, and so we spent a lot of time, me and my brothers, excuse me, that's the windscreen wipers going in my car, because we kind of spent a lot of time. We used to go to play schemes, and we'd spend a lot of time with grandparents or with friends' parents or whatever, because my mum and dad worked a lot. And I never had a problem with that. It was never strange to me. I never felt abandoned. I never felt like I wished they'd spend more time with me. I quite liked the independence. So maybe that kind of programming in me means that I don't really have that need to be needed by my children. And I think that is a big part of it. I don't have that. I adore them with every inch of my soul, and I would do anything for them. But they know that I've got my own business, and sometimes, I'm businessing, and that I can't always do the things that they want to do, and they've grown up okay with that as well. But I do speak to women who are a little bit, I was going to say too aware, but that's my paradigm, isn't it? I speak to a lot of women who feel that they have to be 100% present 100% of the time for their kids, and that the business is just going to have to wait until the kids are, have gone to high school or they've left home or whatever it might be. But the truth of it is that never happens, right? I now have a 12-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 30 and a 32-year-old, and a dog. And it doesn't ever, it just changes. It doesn't get any easier to find the time to grow a business. And so my kids, my girls, are at school. They're at high school and at college now. So obviously that is easier than when they were at home all the time. Bearing in mind we've had a couple of years of lockdown, which brought with it its own challenges with homeschooling and things. But obviously, I started my businesses when they were babies, which is a totally different kettle of fish. But most of the women that I'm working with don't have babies. They're mainly in their late 40s, early 50s, going into the 60s, and have decided that they really want to. They want to look after themselves financially going forward, right? A lot of people get to our age and realise, what we're going to do when I get to my 60s. And it used to be the case that we were looking to retire and get a pension that would see us through. Now what I'm going to do, because the pension that I've got isn't going to, I'm still going to be scrimping and scraping probably by the time I get to my 60s. And I want to change that. A lot of women want to change that. So, but we still have this issue of there are times when like this week we've got school holidays, so my kids are around, and I do feel a desire to spend time with them. I do feel a desire to do things with them, and obviously it's easier for me now that my business is up and running. I can take chunks of time out, but you've got to understand, and you've got to be willing and able to give your business the time that it needs to get it going properly. I think even when it's going properly, you've got to get into it's a lifestyle, right? It's a life choice. Being a business owner is a life choice, and I think this is why a lot of people fail in business, if you want to call it that. A lot of businesses close. Most businesses close within the first 5 years. Vast majority close within the first 5 years. And I remember when I was an accountant, people saying to me, I just didn't think it'd be this hard. I think a lot of people go into business ownership assuming it's going to be easier than working for somebody else, and it just isn't. But the rewards far outweigh the rewards that you get from working for an employer. So it's giving and receiving, isn't it? It's you get out what you put in. So why am I talking about this? Because school holidays are an example for me of a time when my daily pattern changes, and I have to, I've got other people to work around and to placate and to explain that, this is what I'm doing today, and it's not forever, and I've just got to do this today and this tomorrow, and sort of lay my week out for people. And I think that's kind of the key. You've got to sort of let people know what's going on, and why you're doing it. Why this is important, how you're building it for everybody. You're building your future for everybody, and that it's important to be disciplined and important to work hard, and so if you know that you're the kind of person who feels like they don't have enough time to themselves to start a business because you're always running around after other people, whether that's kids or like I say, other dependents, if you're serious about building a business, you are going to have to put some things in place that mean that you can free up time, whether that means getting other people to come and sit with them for a while, putting them on with a task, giving them something to do for a couple of hours, booking for them to go to some kind of activity for a couple of hours. You need to do it. And the thing is, they are not going to lose out, right? They're not going to love you any less. They're not going to be mentally affected by the fact that you've arranged for them to do something else for a couple of hours or even a couple of days. They're just not. And a lot of the time it's what's going on inside us. It's our own paradigms that are making us feel the way we do, that are making us feel guilty, or making us feel like they're going to be upset in some way, or it's nothing to do with them, it's to do with us. And I suppose that's a different topic, I suppose, working on ourselves. But you have got to come to a point where you are willing and able to carve out the time in your days and in your weeks to work on your business the way that you need to get it going properly. Otherwise it just is not going to happen. And you don't want to be getting to wait until they're 18, 19, maybe they're off to university, and then other things start to crop up. You don't want to be getting to that point and then having to start your business and feeling like you're too late, feeling like you've missed the boat and like you've wasted your opportunity. I would hate to get to the end of my life, right at the end of my life, and be looking back and feeling resentful because somebody else was the reason, or other people were the reason why I didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay, because that's not the case, right? You make decisions. You make the decisions about your life. You make the decisions about your time and what you're going to do with it. Nobody else does that, right? So, and nobody is forcing you. Nobody's got a gun to your head, telling you what you've got to do with your time. So, difficult as it might be, emotive as it might be, you've got to make a decision. You know, you've got to make a decision here and now. If you really want to build a successful business, I am going to do what I need to do to make this work. Because if you don't, it isn't going to happen. What I will just say is, my sort of tip, if you like, is something that works really well for me and has worked well over the years, is to sort of do things in sprints. So, and a sprint can be as long or as short as you want it to be. So if you've got a project that you want to work on and say it's going to take you're estimating it's going to take you 3 days, then you go on a 3-day sprint, right? And you plan for the 3 days, and you say to everybody in your family, or, you know, circle of, in your environment, whoever might be affected by it, you say to them, right, the next 3 days, I have got to give this priority. It's not forever. It's just for 3 days. I really, really need your help on this. Okay, and I've arranged for you to go here and you to go there, and I've arranged for this person to come here, or whatever you need to do to arrange it. And you just tell people that's what they can expect, and this is why you're doing it. Might be 3 days, it might be a week. You know, if you're doing a launch, if I'm doing my 5-day challenges, I do exactly the same thing. I tell everybody, say to them all, look, I'll do the school runs, but anything else, I'm afraid you're going to have a boring week, right? Because this is what I've got to do for 5 days, and you know, that's just how it is. It's not the end of the world. And those 5 days, if you really, really focus your time on your business, you can make all kinds of things happen. So think about, you know, how long a sprint would I need to really make an impact in my business? What do I need? What's the next thing I need to do in my business to really take it a step forward? And how long do I need to focus on it for? Doesn't always work out, right? Things still happen. If emergencies crop up, then you deal with them, right? I'm not saying that you ignore your child if he comes in with a broken arm because he's fallen off the trampoline or whatever. But most things aren't emergencies. Most dramas we kind of create, and they don't really need to be created. Most things can be dealt with later. You know, most things don't need to be dealt with right this very minute. So that's my sort of little tip, if you like. Think about doing things in sprints. School holidays, things like that, they're always, you're always kind of thrown off a little bit, I think, from your routine, and everybody's thrown off from the routine, right? But you've still got to try as far as you can to work around them. And yes, you want to build in, maybe you do want to build in days out with the kids, or take them to the cinema or whatever, but you need to make sure that when you come back, you know, okay, I've just spent 4 hours with you and it was amazing, now I just need a couple of hours to do this. Tell them what it is. Tell them what it is that you do and involve them in it. But if you don't, it's not going to happen. And I've had so many people say to me, how have you managed to do all this when you've got kids, you know, around the family, and you've got a husband that works shifts, so he's not always there to be there to babysit or whatever. I shouldn't say babysit anymore. But that's why. It's because I've given it equal priority, because I didn't have any choice, really. You know, once I'd decided and burnt my bridges when I left employment, I mean, I am totally unemployable now, so I don't have any choice. I have to work on it, otherwise, you know, we don't get any food on the table if I don't work in my business. So and keep, you know, working on new projects and what have you. Plus, you know, it's my life, it's my passion, it's what I love. And your kids aren't at home forever. You know, in a few years' time, I'm going to be really grateful that I've built this and that I've got this to occupy me, I suppose. You know, I've got this to work on and to create something amazing for other people and to leave as a legacy and to carry on creating great income and all that, you know, and inheritance and all those other things. So that's it. I just wanted to... The reason I decided to chat about that today was because I missed the podcast yesterday and the day before, right? Monday and Tuesday I wanted to do my podcast episodes on a morning, but I've been doing them while I drive Daisy to school on the school run in the morning, and of course I haven't had a school run, so I didn't do the podcast. So, you know, I get it, totally get it, I totally get it, but it's all about decision, right? It's about decision and it's about discipline. It's about making a decision and then sticking to it, and that's easier said than done, but the first step is to make that decision and say, I'm going to set these boundaries. This is what I want. If I don't do this, nobody's going to do it for me. And it's, you know, I want it for my kids, I want it for my family, I want it for me and our future, and I'm going to go for it. Right, so let me know how you get on. Let me know what sprints you're going to set up, how long they're for, what kind of things you've said to people. I'm really interested to know. You can drop me an email at emma@emmahague.com if you want to. I'd love to hear what you've got to say about it. But that's it from me for today. So have a lovely rest of the day. Be back with you all tomorrow.